The business likes stability. They like predictability. But that's not our job. Our job is providing materials for users when they need it. And part of the subscription model with the perpetual rights, I won't get that, is following our tradition of having the material into the future. Now with finding material when it's needed, can we guarantee, the finances aside, can we guarantee in 10 years that we're going to have access to that, something that was published today? I'm thinking specifically of business information, which is not very good at archiving their older
or how about newspapers? You know, all those newspapers that we're accessing online. Yale, I think, like many other schools, reduced the number of its newspaper subscriptions based on newspapers that could be found online. Well, that's nice, and it helps for a while. I think it's one of these fall and rise of Reginald Perrin things, because the papers are going to have to start to be recovering their costs in more robust ways than they can, and we're going to demand more as we're asked to pay for some of these site licenses.
ProQuest historical newspapers and ProQuest digital microfilm is one possible way to go forward on that. However, we have the problem of preservation. If the newspapers in the town where your university is are not available in some secure way into the future, how can you discard the physical microfilm? Is it going into Portico? Is it going into something, some sort of insured place, secure place? That's very, very important for libraries. Maybe, as you say, we have also cut many of our subscriptions, but the ones that matter, we need to maintain a guaranteed record of it.
And I think if you had Bernie Riley sitting here, he would say that this is one of the most important preoccupations of CRL, and if not the most important, or at least for him. So I think that view is widely held.
If you're planning on at CRL, and with the vast newspaper collections that you have, digitizing them, I would suspect that's a major copyright problem.
Well, I think, yes, sure. You reduce the majorness of it by saying public domain and by saying pre-1923. However, when one moves into the international arena, all of that becomes more complicated. Different countries have different laws. I know that the British Library, with its wealth of newspaper holdings and digitization and for other kinds of projects, I believe they use 1870 as their cutoff date for public domain versus not public domain. We in the US are good with digitizing anything pre-1923, but once you start trying to make it available outside the US borders, where you're not covered by US copyright law, you run into problems. So yes, it's a big problem, but I think that, you know, a lot of these materials are pretty specialized. A lot of them don't exist anymore, you know, the Latin American newspapers and so on and so forth. And so it becomes less of a problem, but the further forward in time you go, the more, you know, the more of a problem it is.